Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Schmoozing with Avi, hosted by me, your host, Avi Benrosh. So, hopefully we've got a very exciting and enjoyable and educational episode coming up ahead. If it's not, I sincerely apologize. I have definitely tried my best, but yeah, hopefully you should enjoy this. Let's get on with the show. All right, hello. Welcome back to Schmoozing with Avi. We've got a really special guest today. We've got YY here. So YY, you want to introduce yourself a little bit? Give us a bit of background on who you are, what you're doing here,
Sure.
how you got here. We've honestly got like one of the craziest stories for you guys today. YY, how do you define yourself today? How do you define your business? Just quickly.
First of all, Avi, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Honestly, thank you for coming on here.
Incredible. So what I do is I do as KDS, as custom design streetwear. I do two things. One is mainly custom shoes, for example.
Which are just beyond sick.
Yeah, thank you. And then that's like literally, as you see, customizing shoes. I've done for quite a lot of celebrities, in fact, including doing John Wall this week. We've done Chris Singleton, Avery Williams, and I don't even know the whole list, but a lot of different celebrities. So that's like shoes, and there's also a streetwear line, which is like a clothing line, which is like this, for example, which is manufactured here in America and ships internationally.
Whoa! So we're gonna get into all of this. So as you can see right now, you are a very successful businessman. You've got a very successful business going on, something that you clearly enjoy, and you've got a lot of people who clearly enjoy your products. So it wasn't always like this, was it? Like there's, as usual, there's always a story behind everything. Would you care to go into it? Want to take us a little bit back before? I guess you want to. Should we start off just where do you come from? Where exactly?
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up in Baltimore mainly. I moved to Baltimore when I was 5 from Boston. I grew up very, very religious. Black hat, white shirt. Yeah, if you want to call it yeshivish, yes, you can call it yeshivish. And went to a very yeshivish high school also, the SIFT of Boston. I never had it. Like I had artistic talents and skills, but I never really like put them into use. I wasn't really like allowed to, honestly, just because
you were told you weren't allowed to.
It wasn't not just specifically that. It wasn't like that was my way of connecting to almost anything. I connect to art and connect to like myself to like art. Like this is all like there's like deeper meanings behind everything that I do for myself, like on my own art. And like I wasn't really encouraged. My parents encouraged it, but like the schools and where I was dorming in the yeshiva in Boston, so I wasn't really at home even. And it was much more like.
At what age were you doing from?
That was from the age of 14 until I got kicked out of there, which was in 12th grade. So that would be 14, 15, 17 or 18 at that age.
So you were telling us you very much connected to art, but you weren't allowed to go down. It wasn't.
It didn't fit in the box in this certain image that was created. I'd say mainly by the school that I happened to be in, and also just by my upbringing. Like I really wasn't just like it wasn't something that people like. It was like, what is this like? Is this
like it was looked down upon?
It wasn't. People, I mean, the kids, my friends and peers loved my stuff, but like it wasn't. No one ever tried to like realize that was like my strong point and try to use that to like help me connect to like learning or whatever it is, through like creativity. It was all like sit in a box, just literally sit in a box, and if you go outside the box and you are looked down on it, or you're not like. So that wasn't like the greatest feeling, honestly. And then I got kicked out of Boston.
What was the reasoning behind him?
The reasoning behind that was because, so as you know, I like to express myself. One of my ways of expressing myself was through dress. And I used to, I understand the difference between wearing like a bright blue suit with a purple tie and neon socks and brown shoes versus wearing a not black suit, even like a darker colored suit, like little petty things, like a darker colored suit, a dark tie, and then have a little bit of like expressiveness in, like, let's say my socks, for example. I'll wear black shoes, but let's say my socks aren't black. Is that the end of the world? Apparently it was. So that was pretty much the main reason. I wouldn't follow those rules. I wouldn't follow. I wasn't like breaking them drastically. I just wouldn't keep inside that box. It was too close.
Would they talk to you often about having to keep to it? Or
I'm
that
sorry?
was like, they would often talk to you about having to keep to that dress code?
Yeah, it was constant for, I mean, the first 2 years I was there, it wasn't really, I was young. I didn't really see outside anything that I was brought up in, and I was fine dressing the way I was dressing. But then I started wanting to like express myself. Like I don't like dressing with a white shirt, black pants, black socks, and black shoes. I want to wear something a little bit different. I don't need to be flashy. It's not about trying to attract attention. It's just about feeling comfortable with what I'm wearing.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't call it inappropriate. I would call it just expressiveness. Like it's like it's pathetic. It's childish, honestly. But anyways, that was a very big point of conflict all my years there, and eventually reached a point where, I mean, it was just like so much like tension between me and the Rosh Yeshiva there, and eventually reached a point. He was like, "Get out." The last month of 12th grade, he didn't send me out. He kicked me out, which means the difference between sending a kid out, kicking a kid out. Send a kid out, you say, you know what, our institution doesn't fit you, which I can understand. I can understand that, and then say, this doesn't fit you, but let me find you a better place that you can be. I mean, let me help you get to the next step, because I don't want you to just fall through the cracks. I want you to go to a place that will suit you better. But that's not what happened. I was sent back home, and when I got home, that's where things really went down. He kicked me out. I went home, and my parents back then were a very different relationship with how I am right now. My parents were like, you know, dressing like this is not okay, and we're not going to support it. And you want to have a smartphone? We're not going to support it. You bring a smartphone into the house, we're going to throw you out of the house. So it's not even like, okay, we'll get you a smartphone, we'll filter it. We realize that you're going to get it regardless of whether we give it to you or you get it yourself. So we're going to do it our way, which you think is a kosher way, and etc. That way we can work together. There's no room for like negotiating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did your parents know that you were struggling while you were in 12th grade, or even like your whole high school?
They did. At that point, they were still, I mean, where they were now versus then is very, very different. But thinking back is that they did know. They knew something was up. They didn't know what. I don't blame them at all for their decision. I am the oldest of 7. So I am the experiment child. And my parents are incredible people. They're Bali Shuva and Gyoris. Yeah. My dad's a Bali Shuva and mom's a Gyoris. So like,
they all had their own journeys, and like this
right,
what they
had
thought.
their own journeys. And I feel that their exposure to the other side, as we would call it, kind of influenced them cracking down so hard on me. And you know, they were always supportive of me, but they cracked down. They were trying to hold a really strong grip because they were scared. They've seen the other side. They don't want me to go to the other side where they came from. So I think that contributed a lot to it. But they it wasn't really negotiable back then what I could do, what I couldn't do. And also I was young, and so they were like, so I brought like phones into the house. I picked up smoking, and they were like, we're not having this.
Where did you get that? Where did you find? Because I assume in yeshiva that wasn't an opportunity. Like, as in, I assume most guys there didn't have smartphones or smoke. But I don't know that, but I assume.
Yeah, no, we weren't allowed to smoke in Boston. I started smoking by going on the streets and picking up cigarette butts off the streets because I didn't have the connections to get fake IDs or like cigarettes or whatever.
What attracted you about smoking?
What I think it really was an influence. There's this smoking has been portrayed in, like, you know, let's say even in like standard movies and stuff like that. It shows you see like the tough guys, the guys who have the resilience, or the guys that whatever smoke, always smoke. And I think there's something
in all the gangster movies. You got the big cigars.
Yeah, it was more that. Also, I was just trying to find, like, I was under a lot of like pressure and stress. Like, when I for example wanted to wear certain shoes, I knew that if my Rosh Yeshiva saw me on the street, when I come back to yeshiva, he'd fine me $150, money that at that time I didn't have. And like yeah, he'd fine you money. I didn't work. I get my money from my parents. So if you're fine, where's that money? I don't know where that money goes to. I don't know, but like that itself was ridiculous.
Mhm.
And then like just like that pressure and the stress caused me to like. It wasn't like I was trying. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't make a whole big scene about it. I wasn't trying to show. But like, I'm smoking. It's just like I don't know. I was just like trying to find something that could like. Everything I had around me was like against me. All my parents felt were against me. Our yeshiva, who I used to look up to, was against me, hated me, and I felt like I'm a little kid. I'm like a little. My
Did
friends looked
you
down on me.
did you
Like
feel that like you were like left alone, as in what?
outcast, yes. And I was just tossed from, if I didn't fit in your box, I'll toss you to your box. If I don't fit in your box, I'll toss you to another one. Oh, there's
Mhm.
no other box to toss you to? All right, you're on your own.
And
That's,
so
yeah.
I'm jumping a little ahead here, but like I know on your statuses the whole time you always say Emunah Hashem or Baruch Hashem or thank you Hashem. So clearly
Mhm.
now like you have a very good relationship. Back then, what was your relationship getting like, especially in the yeshivish environment where it is a lot of like Torah and all of that? Like, did you find that your relationship went downhill, or did you find that you had no relationship?
I wanted a relationship. I always wanted one, but I felt like I didn't know why I was doing it. Just because you said so, wasn't at that point. It never will be a good enough reason for me. And up until then, it was like, okay, fine, I'll listen. I'm a little like dog in the leash. Like, I'll listen to it. But at that point, I'm like, well, no, this is like, I felt that I was thrown out, and I know I was thrown out because the Rosh Hashiva cared more about his image of his school than he cared about me.
Yeah,
And that was
that's
just
terrible.
obvious. And that was someone who I always looked up to and always wanted to be
Mm,
emulated and wanted to make him happy, which is sad, and make my parents happy, which is sad. I never was making myself happy. And then I was like, well, you know what? Toss all of you out the window. Like, why am I even like, what? Like, just because you said so? No, I don't want to. I don't
mhm,
feel connection. Why should I? So, like,
yeah.
yeah. And I still was, I think I was religious back then at that point. I am religious now, but there was a point I wasn't. I think I still was
Mhm.
back then. But anyways, yeah.
So after
And then
12th grades, you got
so
kicked
yeah,
out.
so so yes, I was kicked out. I went home, got kicked out of there, and I went around trying to get into Waterbury. Waterbury said they can't accept me because it's too close to the end of the year. Um, and they said I should go to Emory, and I applied to Emory. Emory said it's too close to the beginning of the year by that time, that they can't accept me, but come back next year. They said. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Anyways, I went to Aish, Gesher, and
So
the reason I
so
went,
so what what made you want to go to a yeshiva?
I I wanted to go to a place that would, first of all, I wanted to go to Israel. I wanted to get away from my parents. I wanted to get away from any control that they had over me. Like
Mhm.
it was horrible. Um,
Yeah.
and like I just wanted to like, I wanted to find a connection. I didn't feel very like, that I had like a life. Like I didn't really feel like I had anything going, but like I felt like I wanted to find it myself. And I
Yeah.
really wanted
Because
to be good.
on
It's
so
just,
on the podcast, I often refer to it as like the autopilot Judaism. Like when you're just doing like everyone around you seems to just be doing it like because that's
yeah,
just what you do. And like there's very little meaning behind anything that gets done. And so that's
very
often
little
what
meaning behind
we find
it.
toxic.
Yeah, and also I'll say another thing, that the grade above us, for example, was what the Rosh Hashiva of the school called the beloved shir, like the classic shir, like the incredible guys. And the reason why I called them that is because when they were in the base medrash, they sat and learned. When they were out of the base medrash, they were absolute. I mean, animals is like a compliment. They were horrible. They were terrible people to us. To meet my grade, they looked down on. They said that we were not Jewish. I don't even know, whatever. To like me in particular back then, and like they weren't good people. They just
Mm.
literally kissed his toast because they wanted to make him happy, and that's how the entire school kind of worked.
Rav Moshe Don Kessler actually says people without midos aren't osek Torah. They're not involved in Torah at all. They're not following the Torah because that's not what the Torah is. And
It's not
that's what, as in you're not following the Torah if you don't have good midas, because the whole reason we're given the Torah is actually to work on ourselves. It's actually to grow and become better
right,
people and like close to Hashem. So like
right.
by not getting close in that way and treating people like that, that's not what we call. You can learn all you want, but you're not. That's
Right.
not being a Jew. That's what
Mm-hmm.
the Ramesh Doncaster was saying. So yeah,
Right.
so you were saying you you applied to Aish. Hold on, so Imre and Aish, don't they have the same? So these are both these are both yeshivas in Israel, correct?
Correct. Yeah, they're both
So-
yeshivas in Israel. Yeah.
So how come Imre said it was too close to the beginning and Aish didn't?
I think my father had some connections there. He went there actually when he became Jewish, became a Rav, excuse me. I think he knew like the director or something or someone like there. Also, I think Imre fills up much faster than Aish. For whatever reasons, I'm not sure. Maybe there's the capacity, how many students they take is different. But anyway, so they accepted me there, and I went there first year, and I went there because I thought that it would be a place that would allow me to, express myself. Yeah, and also still like find my own connection to Hashem. And H is an incredible organization, and they were really amazing. They really tried to help me. They really tried to help me. It didn't work out. I got thrown out of there because of myself. I had that sense of like freedom. It wasn't like I was trying to rebel. Some kids like try to like get in everyone's faces. It wasn't about that. It's just that like finally I feel like I could like,
Breathe a little bit.
yeah, like kind of figure myself up. I didn't even know where to begin. So I went crazy, and I did a lot of things.
Do you want to just have fun like as well? Probably.
Yeah, I just wanted to be. Yeah, I wanted to have fun. I never had like the enjoy. When I lived on a day-to-day basis, I didn't enjoy that. I don't enjoy sitting and learning all day long. I didn't enjoy going to share after share after share after share after share all day long. I wanted to go out. I don't know. I just wanted to like do something else that's just sitting in a basement and just learning and dressing the way that you want me to. So I started clashing with them also the way I was dressing. And they had a very simple dress code. It's just like wear a collar and wear like normal things. But like even that for me, like I was like, I don't want anything. Don't tell me anything what to do. And it was my mistake. They were great. It was completely me who messed up. And then I started, I was very irresponsible. I would go out at night every single night, again and again, just party like crazy, like absolutely. It was like gone for like an entire week after that, like just crazy. And eventually they caught me doing drugs on the roof of the school. I was just gone. I wasn't even part of the program at that point. That was after Pesach. I wasn't even a part of the program.
So when did you get involved in drugs? While you
drugs,
in Israel or before you?
Yeah. No, I never touched drugs before then. I smoked my first J in the roof of H actually.
Bro, it's a crazy rooftop. Like
yeah,
I hear everything that happens there. It's a great
like
chill.
Yeah, it was a great. It was a great. I gotta say, I don't regret doing that. That was like, if I was that's where I was gonna start smoking weed for that time. God bless what it.
Exactly, and it's all part of the journey. It was all part of the journey. What a place.
Yeah, it was all part of it. It makes me think back to them. But anyways, so they were great, except I didn't fit. I wasn't just a part of the program. I was just literally a kid whose parents were paying tuition, and I was showing up for food so I can get munchies, bring it back to dorms, go smoke up, wake up at who knows what time, and then get ready to do it again and again and again. So yeah, that didn't work. So when they asked me to leave, they were actually great. They gave me a week to try to figure myself out and figure out what my next step is, and they tried to help me get into a different school. It didn't work out. But
they know you were smoking up.
Yeah, they caught me smoking up actually.
But I'm saying, before they call you, did they know?
Yeah, they also didn't allow smoking, and at that point I was completely addicted, and so like it was constantly like hide, get caught, and they thought that like by taking away my phone at night it would help me get up in the mornings, and just like the whole concept of like taking away or controlling or punishment from me was
that was like not a good move.
It was traumatic. Literally, it was like traumatic. It was just like shut off.
For sure, it's like PTSD. Like,
literally. Just
were you able to talk to them about it?
I did. They helped me a lot, but at a certain point they couldn't do it. They're supporting a kid inside their infrastructure, so I wasn't invited to anything. Like there are other kids who also partied, but they partied and they came to learn. Like if you work hard, you can have fun. I understand that, it's fine, whatever. They'll let it fly. They know what happens. They don't like it, but they'll let it fly because the kid's showing up and he's doing good. I didn't show up anything. I just did whatever I wanted to do. And I also at some point I joined this army training program. It's like the IDF, like a
Yeah.
lone soldier center. And I was just like, I'll go to
Which
them.
one?
It's
The
Teva Mikey.
okay, fine.
Teva
Oh,
Mikey.
yeah.
It's not gonna fit on draft. It's just like a
It's
pre-special.
like a mach what do they call it? I'm blanking. But like the pre-army thing that like all the Israeli kids go to.
Yeah, exactly. And they go
Yeah.
from there to like special ops usually. Like it's a very intense program.
Mm.
And I got
Were
I
you
got my
think you're
butt kicked
going?
there. It was good. Huh?
You got a what?
I said I got a nice kicking in the tuchus. It was really good
Yeah.
there.
So how come you decided to go there? What was
I
the
decided
just
I
because you didn't know what else, or
I knew I needed something that like really like I would take orders from them. And I knew that I had a problem taking orders from people because I had such traumatic associations with it. But at the end of the day, I wanted better self like control. I wanted that, but like I didn't have enough of it to really want it. And then after I got kicked out of Aish, I was like, I don't want to go to the army. I don't want to continue this. I really don't want to do this. And I didn't have. If you want to go to the army, you have to have enough. Like, you have to have
Yeah.
really, really strong willpower. Yeah, want to go specifically to the army because they don't make it fun at all. They don't want
Yeah.
you.
Also,
They
you
do,
got
but
to
they
be really like you got to be really in it. Like
Mhm.
if you're not 100% like I love my country and I'm doing anything to serve Israel, like which is like the most incredible thing ever. It's
Right.
very very hard to like stay like
Right.
okay, every single morning I'm waking up and I kick my tuchus and they make me do all of these things that I just don't want to do, and you have no one to do it, so you end up hating them again.
For no reason, they do things just to break in like dominance over you. They'll tell you
Yeah.
bring all this like bags of like let's say like sand bags over there and then bring it back and then bring it there again. Why? Because it wasn't part of the original training. No, because we told you to do so. So you got to do it. Like whatever.
Did that
it's
like
whole mentality.
did that like mess you over again?
It was good actually because I actually appreciated taking orders like that. I appreciated pushing myself hard, physically and mentally, like hard, and it was good. And Aish was cool with it, and it was
So you were doing this while you were in Aish?
Yeah, Aish was pretty cool with it because at that point they were like anything to give this guy some structure. Like they were really like they tried so hard, but like I couldn't even commit to that because it was so like you know, if you want to do that physically alone, I can't be doing what I'm doing. Like you can't go out and just get wrecked over the weekends and stuff like that. You can't decide that you're going to Tel Aviv for like a week. You have training. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So like, you know, whatever. Anyways, so
after that, what do you do?
Right. So I had that. They gave me a week. They were wonderful. They gave me a week, and I tried getting to one school. Didn't work out. And so I had a special friend there. Actually, his name is Chaim Iskowitz. He helped me a lot. He was an Aish as a mashpia, just like a good influence on the guys. He was great. He actually connected me to his uncle who has a yeshiva in Brooklyn, called what's it called? Thank you. Yes, Aritzchak. Right. Yeah. Right. Larson's yeshiva, Aritzchak, whatever you want to call it. And they're located in Brooklyn. And I got in touch with him. He got in touch with him. He told him the situation. And they're like, "We'll take him. We'll take him. Come on in." So I flew in directly to Brooklyn. Never went home. Flew in directly to Brooklyn. And
you were okay going back to America?
I'm sorry?
You were okay going back to America? You weren't nervous about being near your family again?
My family still lived in Baltimore, so I was like, all right, it's good enough. And also I always wanted to be part of like I had a lot of Brooklyn friends. I wanted to be part of like the Brooklyn group.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
a lot of the out of towners, they like to be part of the New Yorker.
Yeah. I'll give it to Brooklyn. But anyways, at that point I wanted to be part of that. So I went back there. I went to Brooklyn and they gave me an apartment in 14th. It's actually right a couple blocks away from the yeshiva. And I went there usually in the evening times because I had dinner and I went with someone afterwards. And there was a morning program that I tried to come to. It was geared towards guys who are working and learning, meaning most guys didn't come in the morning. They came at night after a long day of work and they all pulled up there. And like it was cool. So I was there, and anyways, that's when. So I was there until that summer. So between that period of then and that summer, um, I did a lot of drugs, like a lot of drugs. It was actually in Chaim Berlin's building, the apartment that I was given was the Chaim Berlin's like apartment building. And just go up on a roof and just did a lot of drugs. And I wasn't religious at that point.
But
Um,
when you were you doing anything within the yeshiva itself? How was your
no,
day? Did they
the
like?
yeshiva,
Did you exist within the yeshiva? Did they know? Like they
yeah,
check up on you and stuff?
yeah, they were great. They were great. I used to walk in there I used to walk in there covered in like, I don't even know, just like crazy, crazy, crazy. Walk in there high as a kite, and just like they knew they weren't like happy, but like they were supportive, and they kept
Are they
showing me.
like? Are they similar to Waterbury? Is that like what their kind of
I
style
would
is, or
I would say so, except it's more like a community oriented school.
yeah?
It's more like it's like Waterbury's like a yeshiva all the way at campus, all the way out in like Durham or whatever. These guys are like, most guys aren't there during the day, so it's not like you're living with the guys and like you have people there all the time. It's usually
Yeah.
it's like a night thing, or the morning thing is special. If you come to the morning thing, you can build a real connection with the Rebbe, and I did.
Yeah.
And one of those Rebbe, blanking on his name right now, but him and also my dad Rebbe, they gave me like a one-on-one, so it was great.
Mhm.
So
What
between
were
that
you?
period of
What were you
yeah,
learning at that point? What was there? we-
what,
You were
what
getting
was,
like. What were you learning at that point when you saying you were having a process with them? You were learning
so
Gemara, or you were just
yeah,
you were learning like Musa, that kind
I
of.
was learning both. I like both. I was learning Gemara just because I felt like I still had to learn Gemara, and I
Mhm.
was also learning Musa. I started learning some Musa. I don't remember exactly what it was. I
Mhm.
still learning some Musa and some Gemara. I still wasn't religious, but like I really wanted to do a good thing. That just was still such. I was like literally a mess. I was just a complete wreck.
Yeah.
And between the period of that time and the summer, I overdosed a total of like 3 times. I ended up in the hospital just from drugs.
So
And
do you want to go more into, if you don't mind, do you want to go more
yeah,
into like how you got involved in it? What like
one more time.
as in how you got involved in drugs? Like who were you meeting? How was it?
It
Like
was,
and
yeah,
what were you taking at that point?
for
So
sure. It was
overdose, I
more.
assume it's not weed anymore.
Yeah, it was more than weed. It was like I did oxy. I did coke. I did. I don't know. I did shrooms. I don't even call it drugs. But I did like a lot of different things. I never did heroin. That's one thing I never did. Did pretty much everything under the sun. I mean, most things. I would say everything. I did a lot of different things, and I got involved with that because my friend group was horrible. I wasn't working during the day. Most of the guys are working during the day, and like I had nothing to do during the day, so I just hung out around and started making friends. My parents would give me minimal amounts of money, which I would use to buy drugs and sell them, and then end up using them myself. And you know, kind of just like schnar
Was
around. Like I wasn't doing
was there any motivation behind doing the drugs other than just boredom, or was it like looking for
just
an escape? What was the
just yeah. I went through my when I got involved in like my first relationship then, if I can even call it that. And like that went like south pretty quickly.
yeah.
I wasn't in the right state of like mental health and like mind to like be in any kind of relationship. Like I was like the most lost human being on the planet at that point.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Like I still felt like the pressure from home, even though I wasn't home, which was horrible because my parents would still control my money. Like you can't live without money. And if my money's come from my parents, I'm still playing the strings of giving me money. Well, then you got to do this, or what about this, and blah blah. Where's the money going to, blah, etc. It was like, but I couldn't get a job because I didn't have like, even to like go to a job interview, I'd have to have enough money to get an Uber. But like if I'm like using that money for drugs, I can't use that for an Uber. I need it for drugs because I need something to just get away from this whole mess I'm in. Then you have a little bit
Mhm.
of a problem. And so the action death, and then after the third overdose is when I went clean from drugs. I decided I'm never doing hard drugs again. Weed, and then go from that. I'm never doing hard drugs again. And that was after I ended up. What time was that? Yeah, I was in a park or something. I got smashed my head. I was with someone. I smashed my head. I ended up in a hospital. The cops came. It was a whole situation. And I was just like, after that, when I got home and recovered, I'm like, yeah, I don't have a life. I literally don't have a life. I don't do anything. I have no money. I have fake friends. I have just a ton of awful stuff on my back. I don't do anything with myself. Like, it's so point. What am I doing?
Yeah.
And that realization came over the summer. Actually, that summer, leading into what would have been my second year in yeshiva. That summer between now, when I really had like a lot of like, wow, I'm really messed up. Like I'm really screwed up. I don't have a life. Like I don't do anything. Like what am I doing?
What was that like realization for you? What did it make you?
It wanted to make me do even more drugs. It was very hard. It was very hard. I was like, this is messed up. Like I can't do drugs. So
Do you have anyone you could speak to at that point?
Yeah, I had Meribim. Meribim were always, and also at that point, I think I was starting to also feel like I can be accepted. I don't need to keep running away from everyone, running away from problems. I'm not playing hide and go seek with my babe or my parents. My parents, yes. My babe, no. But like, and I'm like, and so the last thing that was still bothering me was like my parents. Like my parents are still down my back about everything. I'm like, I'm not even living in your house. The reason why is because that was on their money. So I'm like, that's it. I'm done. So that summer, I worked. I made money, and I got myself enough money to over that summer look for a job. And then I traveled to New York a couple times back and forth, and I landed myself a job, 2 jobs actually. Where I was gonna stay was actually on Emunah East 4th. I was staying in the house of an elderly man that took care of him at night. So that took rent. This was like a shkacha beyond, but I wasn't religious, so I didn't like see it as that. Hashem set me up with like this house where I stayed, took care of this elderly man, which is a very big responsibility, and it also paid me. So not only did I not have to pay like rent for an apartment, but I got paid for sleeping there and pretty much taking care of him. So, and then during the day, I got my first job.
At that point, though, you were still taking drugs, or you had?
I was smoking weed. I was still smoking weed. And I was drinking a lot of heavy alcohol, but I was more. The other drugs really mess up your brain.
Yeah.
I can't. Weed for myself messes up my brain. I'm sober now, but like,
So was it not like hard to get off drugs? Like how like it's a lot of people say like I want to get off drugs, but like it's a process. They have to go to AA and
that's what rehab is for. And I actually never went to rehab, and I think I didn't get lucky. Hashem saved me from going to it. That would have been another year out of my life for sure. But like, it didn't save me for that from just realizing that I hit rock bottom. I had nowhere lower to go. I had nothing, literally nothing. I felt bad about myself because I myself am not that kind of person who's okay with just sleeping around with a million girls, doing drugs every single day, just not doing anything productive and going to yeshiva just so I can talk to a rabbi for a little bit and get some food. Like I felt so lifeless, and I'm just like, this is horrible. I can't do this anymore. So that was really what woke me. That was like it's like literally smashed my head into the wall. When I hit my head when I passed out because I overdosed, I got a concussion that smashed up my head, literally and also mentally. Like it really shook me up. Like I really don't have a life. I have nothing.
So you were at a point that you were very lucky and you got this job. You are like at least off all the hard drugs, and you are able to pay.
Yeah.
What was your expenses at that point?
So my expenses were literally nothing. My parents would still get me food, and they'd order me food, and I used to eat at the yeshiva. My job during the day was to be a construction site manager, which I worked for about. It also gave me a van. I worked, so I didn't have literally no expenses. I worked there for about 2 months until they didn't need me anymore, so they let me go. And then this is what a crazy story happens. Basically, so at that point, I'm like, all right, time to find a new job. And I tried searching for a job. I spent about a month and a half trying to find a job. I had no experience in most fields. I don't have a degree in anything. I don't have like anything really to add to my resume. So I was having a really hard time. And then I also at that point started leasing a car, which is really stupid of me, because I didn't have a job. I took over at it's something really shady. It was not in the books. It was a really bad situation, but I basically had to pay. I was paying ridiculous amounts of money for a car that I couldn't afford.
How are you paying?
How was I paying? I had money from the job I had zero expenses. So everything that made was income. Wow. And I was paid nicely by the construction company. And And then I was like, I don't have a job. I'm like, I don't have a job, and I have this car, and I can't take it off my back. I have to pay for it. And as time went on, I was looking for a new job. And money in my account was just going down, because there still are some expenses, and there still is the car I have to keep paying off. And it came to a point where I knew that I wouldn't be able to make my car payment, and then I would be in big trouble. Because since it was like shady, it was not in the books. The person who was in charge of it was not a good guy. It's a really bad guy, and he came after me. It wouldn't have been good. It would have been really, really bad. And I wasn't religious at that point, but I was like, this is horrible. My parents aren't going to give me the money. I'm stuck. And there was one night, and I went downstairs to my basement, and I just, for the first time in like, I don't even know how long, I just literally started crying to like, I was like, Hashem, I'm like, yo, I'm so screwed up. I'm so messed up right now. And there's no income coming from anywhere. No money's gonna come from, I have literally nothing. And I'm gonna be screwed next week because I can't make this car payment. I don't know what to do. I need help. Like, I really need help. I just cried for about like an hour, no exaggeration. And like everything, like my entire past, like it's just horrible. Like, I feel like I'm literally like I'm dead right now. Like, I don't have anything. And then I went to sleep. The next morning I wake up, and the son of the elderly guy that I was staying by taking care of, apparently I forgot, and he also forgot that he didn't pay me for the last month. And it wasn't like an official like document. He just paid me whenever he paid me. He paid me in Visa gift cards. He paid me about, I think he paid like $1,000 per month or something like that. And he paid me in Visa gift cards because he sold his business, whatever it was. He used a lot of them, so he had like extra. So he just gave me like Visa gift cards. I woke up the next morning on my bed, on like my nightstand, there's a stack of Visa gift cards for the past month, the current month, and the upcoming month. And wrote, just in case I forget for next month, here's in advance. A stack of Visa gift cards that's over $3,000. He gave me an extra also because he felt bad. $3,000 right there for me was huge. The next morning, like right after that, I was like, and that was like, wow, that's crazy. And
you
I
hear
actually,
you every so often you hear those kinds of stories. They're like, yeah, sure, like, well, that sounds like, but like when it actually happens to you, that's like the craziest thing. Wow.
I had the gift cards at home. I plan on framing them in my godroom
Really?
wherever I live permanently.
Yeah.
And they're all empty, but I used them. I used them, but like literally the next morning, and not like in some different kind of like sign. It was just right there, like literally right there. It's so clear.
Yeah.
And I was from Hashem, and I was like, wow, that's wild. That's wild. And then immediately after that, I found a job, a great job, and it gave me a car also. And after I paid that monthly thing, I got myself out of the situation with the other car guy. Like, I'm done. I'm never going back to that. And whatchamacallit. And then so that was like the most clearest sign ever. So I had this great job. I was working as a security technician. I was doing like low voltage, fire and security systems. And then I did that throughout the remainder of the year with the purpose of going to Emory. I wanted to go to Emory, but no one would pay for my tuition or my flights because everyone was like, you got thrown out of every other school. Like, what? You're not, like, no one's going to give you money. My parents weren't going to give me money, and I understood that. And I was considered myself self-dependent. I didn't ask them for anything. And I went back and I visited them once in a while, but like, I really was like on my own thing. And then at the end of the year, I went to Israel the next year. I paid for my tuition. I paid for my flights. I continued to support myself. And
You paid the whole tuition? Or they?
I didn't pay full. I didn't pay 25K. No, I didn't pay 25K. They had worked out something with them. I talked to them. I told them my situation. I told them I really want to go to Emory, and I want to pay for myself.
What was that want to go to Emory? Where did that come from? What was the want to go to Emory? Where did it come from?
I wanted to go back to. I felt like I wasted a year in Israel, which I did. I wanted a year of real growth, and I heard so many incredible things about Emory and about the environment there, like the opening, welcoming environment. It's like, regardless of what you do, they'll still support you and love you. And I'm like, I really want to go to someplace that I need this so badly. And I went, and that was in the beginning of the year. And then it was incredible. It was literally incredible. And then about, I'd say 3 or 4 months into the year, that's when I made the first pair of shoes.
So we're getting onto this new topic.
Yeah,
This is the new stage of your life. But how, just going back, how did drawing play any part in these past like 3 years before, like since you left Aish? Were you drawing at all, or what was
I
the?
wasn't into drawing, but it wasn't. It was about being able to express myself and be myself without feeling like I'm letting someone down or letting myself down. At that point, I didn't care. I wasn't letting anyone down. I didn't feel bad about what I was doing. I felt bad that I wasn't keeping Shabbos. I did feel a little bit bad about that, but I was like, I'm not holding there, and I want to find the reason. I want to be religious. I want to find the meaning behind why should I open a page of Gemara if I don't even appreciate that there's a God above it. Like, why? Like, I didn't want to learn. And I went into Imre. I went in there thinking that I'm a third year guy. I'm a third year bacher. I went in there, set this out, white button down, share, blah blah blah. And about 3 weeks in, I got slapped in the face by reality and by my rebbeim. Not literally, but like they were like, "You're not a third year guy, and it's okay. You don't have to be. You're not supposed to be a third year guy. You're a first year guy. Honestly, you haven't done anything in your life in the past 2 years regarding learning. You did a lot last year. The year before that, you got that all out, and you settled down a little bit last year. But now is your time to really settle down and realize and start from scratch and build the pieces up. Why do you open a siddur in the morning? Why do you put on tefillin? Why would you keep Shabbos? Like, you're not a third year guy." I'm like, "Oh, okay, you're right. I'm not." And
how did that feel like when they were saying that with you? Was it just like reassuring? How did it feel when they were telling you all of this?
It was comforting for the first time to be accepted and be like, you're not that guy that everyone says that you should be. You grew up and everyone's saying like, "Oh, you're so good. You get praised for like learning a lot and blah blah blah." But meanwhile, I'm just learning because like I want to hear the praise because I care about what you say. And now I'm at a point where I don't care about what you say. I just don't feel good myself. So to hear that, no one's going to praise you for learning 5 pages of Gemara a day, or praise you for wanting to try to find yourself and find out the reason why you should even learn Gemara in the first place. And I'm like, we're not even from us, from yourself. You should feel good about that. That you're here, you came here. I'm like, "Oh, okay, I don't know where to start." I'm like, "All right, so we're going to literally start from the beginning." And I went and I started going to Shir. I didn't go to Shir. I had like a one-on-one Rebbe, but I was with the rest of my Shir who were normal third year guys. And I sat with him and talked to him a lot just about like, I found a bunch of randoms, talked to him a lot about what it means to be like who I want to be, and like just trying to like sift through all the garbage I've picked up and like in the past from growing up, and then what was real from what was when growing up, like the things that I could relate to, and just try to figure that out and put it into my own understanding. And that was really good. That's when I started learning about Emunah, and that's something that hooked me. Living Emunah, this book about living Emunah, that's what hooked me immediately. And once I started reading that, then things started changing. That's when everything just like shifted. I still was not religious then, but that's when things started like, whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And,
is that never something that they touched on in yeshiva? As in when you're in yeshiva high school?
They should have. They shouldn't go in there with the assumption that everyone is doing this because they understand Hashem. They should go in there with the assumption that everyone's doing it because they don't understand Hashem and that they want to just fit inside a box. That's what they should have done.
Did you ever speak to your parents about like this kind of, I mean, I know I'm sure we'll get to that at some point, but like, do you ever speak to your parents about like your own beliefs and stuff like that, your own connection with God? Because I assume if they're like they all have their own stories. One of them's about Shiva, one of them the Gira, so they probably have their own stories with that, like Hashem.
So I did. My father was always the biggest. Like he's the biggest follower out there, but I never really talked to him about his own experiences. He'll tell me about work experiences that like involve like Emunah and stuff like that, but it wasn't really anything connecting to like their past and whatever. It wasn't really like that. It was more of like they also did a lot of their own work at that time, and they really learned to like they have to let go. They have to realize that I need to be an adult, and that they can't have control of me, or they don't have control. Like that year in New York really showed that I am completely able to to support myself. Like I can support myself, and that I need just a space to be able to find myself. Like you can't force something on someone who doesn't want it to be forced on them. Either they'll fake it till they break, or it just won't work. And that's what happened. I kind of both. It broke, I broke, and then I also didn't work. It just wasn't. It's not what people need.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
you're in Imre, and then
right.
How did the KDS start?
That's a great question. So
You said you designed your first
ahead.
pair of shoes. Sorry, you
Yeah,
designed your first pair of shoes.
So that literally was just like that. I didn't have ideas of creating a business. I don't know business. I saw something on YouTube of a guy painted a pair of shoes. I'm like, I never painted in my life, so I'm not going to paint a pair of shoes. I'm going to buy a pair of canvas shoes, and we use markers, which I are in my ballpark at that time. And I'm going to draw on a pair of shoes. And I did.
You were doing it just for yourself, or like someone like had asked you for it?
I made a pair for myself. Right?
Cool.
That's literally just how I started.
Yeah.
And like I sent it around to some guys, saw it. They saw me walk over, like, yo, that's insane. Those are sick. Like, you should make it into a business. I'm like, what do I know? I'm here. I don't know business. And then something else came up. They saw that I had artistic skills, so they asked me to design the hoodie for Emunah for that year for the school. So I did.
Because I remember someone telling me, because I like backstory, but I messaged you. I was in Ratios. So I messaged you asking you about to design a hoodie for us, and like I ended up having to leave early, so I put it on someone else to sort it out, and he never ended up doing the hoodie. So but like the designs were sick. But someone had said to me, yo, you gotta get this guy YY to design the hoodie because he's done the Imre Bina one and it's sick. So like that's how I first heard about you. I didn't know KDS at that point, and like ever since then, I was like, I saw your stories. I was like, yo, this is sick. It's ever since like I started the podcast, by the way, just so you know, like I was like, I've got to get YY on the story, like on the podcast there, because it was like, I was hooked already straight from the beginning. So hold on, so you were saying you designed your own pair of shoes, and someone saw you and asked you to design a hoodie. So they designed the Imre hoodie. Yeah.
And yeah, so designed the Imre hoodie, and it, Baruch Hashem, was a big hit. And it also got me in touch with, like, I took on like the full responsibility. Like I really wanted to get done. And that I just like, it's something that I live for like today. Like I don't like putting things in other people's hands. I know I can't do it all myself, but I don't want other people. I like getting things done. I like getting it done fast. And I know it's not possible always, but like I don't want other people involved in it really, just because I knew that if I did it, I'd just get it done with. And it would get done fast, it would get done good. And so I did involve some people that I needed to be, but then we just like, boom. And that got me in touch with like the manufacturer. And at that point, I think I already made I made an Instagram page or something. I had like 30 followers or something. Like I posted that. And then like another school saw it and they're like, yo, can you design our hoodie? I'm like, sure. And then I'm like, all right, so now I have to make money.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You were able to make money from that?
I was pretty much broke.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I was bad. I had no money left. I used up all my money coming to Imre. Yeah. And I didn't want to turn back to my parents for money. I had too much PTSD with that. And it made me, at Imre, I actually lost money. And not only did I not make money, I lost money off of it. I took one for the boys, as I would say. It was pretty stupid, but whatever, it's okay. But then I realized, I can really make money off this. Like, why should I just sell a design? Why don't I offer the entire process? Like getting a hoodie done in Israel is not a simple process. There's a lot of different factors. I went through that.
Yeah. No, I'm saying that's a fact. It's impossible. We tried it and it's impossible.
It's very, very difficult. It's very, very difficult. And whatchamacallit, I said, like, why don't I just take that on myself? Like, I'll take care of everything, and that's like my services. And I'll also do design. If I charge each kid individually, meaning add on like actually $2 or $3 per guy buying a hoodie, if you have 50 hoodies, do the math. That makes me a lot more money than just giving you a design, selling you one design.
Yeah.
And now, like, it makes no sense. So, and that's how things kind of just like pick itself up. There's a ton of Siyata Shmaya involved in that. There's a lot. And then the shoes. And the shoes I decided I'm gonna paint for the first time in my life. Like I don't care how it comes out, I'm gonna paint. And I painted it and it was horrible, but it's okay. It was a great experience. My shoe literally broke. But I didn't prep it right, I didn't seal it right. I don't know what I was
Yeah.
doing, but it's fun. Gave it a shot. It looked really
What
cool.
was the reason behind painting it? You just were down.
I wanted to expand. I wanted to try something else and see like this is the custom shoe industry is really all paints. Like this is all paint. This is all paint. This shoe over here is all paint. This is all
Sick.
the shoe comes.
Just by that you're doing for a charity, correct?
Yeah, this
Special
is
Children's Center.
Special Children's Center, correct? Yeah.
Wow,
So
that is dope.
this one, thank you.
Yeah.
So like it's just it opened up like whole new doors. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna give it a shot. And I realized I really messed up the first pair I ever made, which is for myself. The first
Yeah.
painted pair. Okay, I gotta do more research. I did more research, and then I made a pair that didn't fall apart, and people liked it. And
Yeah.
I think the reason, first of all, there's so much discussion behind it. The reason why it went further is because of a couple of things. Number one is that a lot of people with artistic capabilities are too scared to put their content out there. They think that it's gonna get shut down. Like I know of one other sneaker guy in the Jewish world who does shoes, and I never like. He's really talented. He's amazing, but like, it wasn't really such a thing. Like, it's not such a thing to do like custom shoes. Like, whoever heard of that in the Jewish world, most people have no clue what this is.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's also so many other kids who have like other talents like that. They're too scared to not fit in the box of what's considered normal. It doesn't clash with Judaism. It doesn't clash with anything. It doesn't clash with anything.
Yeah.
It's
Anything
allowed
can
to do
enhance it. Like for you,
Yeah.
I'm sure for you, like seeing all the help that Hashem has given, like that's for sure enhanced like the connection in your Judaism.
Yeah, you can connect. Like if you want to shoot something about like you used to have like a hard time with drugs, for example, and you went clean from that, or you have like an artist, like a music artist you can connect to because like of whatever like songs he like his style of music and his songs mean something to you, and that's about connecting. That's about connecting to yourself. And I feel people should be encouraged. I'm not telling everyone to walk into a Spanish these. I'm not going to say that. I wouldn't recommend that necessarily. But there's a time and place for everything, and if that's what helps someone feel good about themselves and be able to connect, makes them think of what do I really connect to, what do I want, and that's what makes them think. Then yeah, absolutely, get yourself a pair of shoes if you can afford it. Then absolutely, why not?
Yeah, do a big plug right now.
Huh?
What's your Instagram? Do a big plug for it.
Oh, Instagram is at YY_KDS, and if you don't have Instagram, it's www.yyKDS.com.
So you have your own website. So this was a year ago that you went in, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So you must have been less than a year ago that you started the business, no?
Right. Yeah. So like a quarter of the year, about halfway, a little bit more than halfway through the year, I started the business, and once I started it, I knew I wasn't ever going to stop it. It was just a matter of learning now how to balance learning and also my desire to do work. And that was a very interesting experience. It was
Tell me
good.
about it.
It was up and down, honestly. It was some days that I would just all day long just make sure you wake up, make sure you stay up late, go sleep. And almost as if I was doing drugs again, but I wasn't, and have the long lasting repercussions. But it was like reminded me of how I used to be. I'm like, I don't think this
again, like the dopamine rush from it. Same dopamine rush you get from drugs, you get from make shoes.
Yeah.
It's great because you're doing something you're loving then.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Also just like staying up late and like I wasn't in the same schedule as any of my friends, and all my friends were like, oh, you're so cool for shoes. Like I want to be part of like the friend. I want to be part of like Emunah. I felt like I was like slacking in that. So it was a lot of ups and downs and back and forth. It was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
At that point though, how did you were getting a lot of orders? Who were you making your? What was the way it was structured? Because you're saying you're staying up all night, so you must be getting a lot of orders.
So the problem was that I was charging too little for my work because I was just underestimating myself, and I was still supporting myself, and it's kind of starting from zero. You start a business from zero, you're not in such a good position, honestly. If that's your main source of income, you're going to be working so hard. The goal is not to work hard. making money is a game. The goal is to do it smartly so you don't have to work. I was working so hard to finish a pair of shoes so I can get a paycheck, so I can get paid, so I can have money to buy food and buy whatever else I needed, just have the comfort of knowing I have money in my pocket.
Yeah.
And so I realized I have to raise the prices, and also, like, I don't know, just like realize that like if you that just like the worth of what it means to have a pair of shoes painted, like you can get them done cheaper somewhere else. I would never talk badly about other artists. There's plenty of other really good artists out there. You get what you pay for, though.
Yeah.
You can do what you want, but like if you want a certain quality and a certain reassurance, and like any of my shoes, I guarantee them they won't fall apart. They don't ever fall apart. They're made to be worn. They're waterproof, crack resistant, scratch resistant. They're built to last over a year. It can last if you take care of them. They'll be like, all the products are like quality. So if you want to exchange quality for money, then go somewhere else. Like it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So that's what I realized. Like I need to charge more. And
also, you're selling yourself as part. They're not selling yourself like in a negative way. As in you're part of the package. Like it's coming from you. People know they're buying. Like it's you who they're buying from. So like I feel like a lot of people feel a lot more comfortable buying it because that's the YY KDS brand that people are buying from now.
Right. And it's about like the association behind it. Like I'm like, first of all, like integrity for me is one of the biggest things, like honesty and doing business. And there's been times where I've underquoted it for someone by mistake, and I'll live by that. Even if I end up losing money, if I give you a quote, I'll give you a quote. I'm not going to change it. And if I overquote you by mistake, I'll tell you. It's not like it's to me. And also at that point, also the Emunah factor. Like I feel like Emunah helped me strengthen that Emunah, and a lot about like business, and just learning and reading these stories about living in Emunah. A lot of them are about business. And money is not from you. Money is from Hashem.
Yeah.
Hashem opens the door for you. You follow it. You can miss opportunities. That's on you. But if Hashem wants you to make money or whatever, Hashem doors will open up. You just have to look for them and realize that Hashem is there. The more you look for him, the more he's there. And I saw that a lot in my business, and that a lot. Like I don't credit any of it to like myself. I credit it all, and I mean that honestly. Like it's the amount of doors that just like open and things that work their way out. It's like it's ridiculous. Doesn't make any sense. I tell people how long I've had a business for, they're like, "You're lying." I'm like, "I'm not kidding. It's true. You can look at it."
I find it crazy that it's been less than a year, and like I can already see how like incredible the business has grown. Like everyone's talking about it, so like it's just incredible to see.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Like it's honestly like it's I think the most impressive part is that like understanding like that like seeing Hashem's hand in it all, like just being able to like know your worth and know like how much like it is you and how much is the guidance from Hashem. Like it's incredible. Like I think it's so amazing. So hold on. So how did it go from where it was in Imre to like where it is now?
To where so it really,
because how did it was word of mouth that it got spread around? Like
it was a ton of siyata d'shmaya and also just word of mouth. I haven't spent a cent on advertising ever.
Really?
It was just like, I think that since it was just such a crazy concept, like I called myself the Imre kid who does shoes. That used to be my tagline. And because I felt like it was something that was just not, people who were in the yeshiva system who saw like social media, no one has social media, knows about custom shoes pretty much. But like to find someone who's in yeshiva, actively in a yeshiva system and also does shoes, I don't think ever existed. And for me, it was just like the goal was to show to myself really that the concept of working and learning, even in an industry that is like so not in a typical yeshiva atmosphere idea, it's something that you can do. You apply it in the right way, and you do it in the right way. And if I had opportunities when I was in LA a couple of weeks ago, I was given opportunities to like, yo, move out here, it'll be better for your business, it'll be better for you to get more celebrities, get to hang around with people. I was there for a week and I was like, Shalom, something guy out here. I never moving there. And
Yeah.
the reason
So
is because you'll slip, you'll fall.
yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
So I was gonna ask, like, I've seen you're hanging around with like all these social media stars. Like I apologize, I'm not like holding as much. The last time I was like really holding was like the Logan Paul no, Bryce Hall versus yeah, they're like the big
Yeah.
fight. There was like there's huge fight. It's like I'm saying I saw on your thing that you were with Bryce Hall, and at that point, like that's a huge name, especially in like the social media world. That's a huge name to be around. So how did that happen?
That was through I befriended it was through Hashem. I befriended a celebrity. Hashem helped me befriend a celebrity who got me through to him, who got me into LA. He basically was like, all right, you can come to this hype house, and come to this hype house, and come to this hype house. And
Yeah.
it was like, because I was actually friends with him, I didn't just like use him for his public publicity. Like I treated him as like a friend.
How did you make that connection?
I just how I do business. Like I'm here for your best interest. Also, like I care about my customers on like a personal level. And then it gets sticky. Let's say you have like a seminar trying to order from you, like the girls are like, I'm as professional as it comes. If you're not professional with me, I'm not gonna like be unprofessional just because you are. If you're too unprofessional, I'll be like, yo, either fit by my guidelines or I'm not doing business with you. I don't I keep the lines very, very clear. At the same time, I care about my customers. I don't just want to get your money and run. I'll follow up with you. I'll check up with you, see how your shoes are doing, see how your hoodies. Do you guys like them? What are your thoughts? Do you need help with this? Or you're having problem getting sizes? No problem. I'll create like a Google Docs form for you that's like simple. You can just fill everyone's name out, the sizes in. I'll create as many mock-ups as you'd like for free and non-committing also. Because I know the struggles of having everyone decide on a school hoodie. It's like a 50, 100 guys trying to be like, oh, what's this color, this color. And I'll tell them the secrets of how to get everyone to agree on something. I mean, you never get everyone, but you get 99% of everyone to agree in like a simple way, because the whole point is to save you, the customer, stress. We don't want you stressing. We don't want you overworking yourself. We want everything easy, peaceful, and just knowing reassurance that you're in good hands and that I can understand you because I was in the same shoes as you. No pun intended. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's pretty much it.
So you were literally, you started it in Imre, took it now to like with all those social media stars, and like at that point in time, you were getting you built up like connections with them while you were there, or what was happening? They like you. Do you mind me asking? Did you sell shoes to them? Like, did you? I assume I assume you're like you give out shoes and stuff to social media stars because that's obviously helpful for your business.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So sometimes I sell, sometimes I give, depending on what the arrangements are. Some of those guys in LA, they bought some of them. I gave them for free. Usually, if I gave them for free, I wouldn't even buy the shoe. I just make a pair of shoes that they had there to clean them up and just do it on the spot for them. Just kind of fun because then I got to stay there and just chill with them. But I mean, that was pretty much. And the business side of it, the way it took off is just literally, like you said, word of mouth and just a lot of hashgacha. And that's really it. And I really do my best to keep my customers happy, not just for my sake, but for their own sake. I really try to like come out for your best interest, obviously my best interest also.
Yeah.
But like I do my best to find that solid line that everyone walks away happy and that they really had a really great experience, even if they don't end up doing business. Like even if you just try whatever, it doesn't work out, you had a good experience. And that's it. Like I believe in doing business. There's an aggressive way, there's an aggressive and bad way, there's a passive way. And I like finding the line between aggressive and good and also passive. Like I push to do business. I don't just sit there and wait for it to come to me. Like I constantly believe in networking and whatever. If I can help you out with something that's not related to my business, I don't expect something in return. Yeah. And then that's like because I genuinely want to help you. I'm not going to ask you for commission. I'm not going to ask you for referrals. And then that's real helping people out. And if you choose to help me out later, God bless you. No, I don't care. Like, and that's
such an incredible perspective to have. And like, I think that people will see that as like, it was such a genuine, like from just speaking to you what we've been speaking for an hour. Like, by the way, I usually try to keep this 40 minutes, but like I was like, I
Oh,
can't
my
keep
bad.
this. No, not at all, because I think it's just incredible. You're such a genuine person, and like I love it. Like, it's such a pure story, and like it really is incredible.
Thank you. I
So
appreciate it.
I think
That's pretty much all the story. Thank you.
no, but like
I appreciate it.
there's so much. I feel like this is just the beginning of your story. That's what like the most incredible thing is. Like, the story has just begun. So with Hashem, it will go
Thank you.
so much further.
Mirza
Well,
Hashem, Mirza Hashem.
do you mind me asking, what do your parents think of the business? Are you in contact with your parents now, or
Sure.
how?
I'm
'Cause you
very
told me
much
they
in
like
contact.
changed.
Everything changed. Lee and her, everything changed. On their end, they did a lot of work of just accepting me and realizing that I'm not a bad kid because I didn't fit in their idea of what they thought I was going to be. And that I found myself, I believe that I'm 10 times better off than how I used to be, because I believe that anyone who goes through something, brought up a certain way, gets it kind of like completely knocked down and then rebuilds it, taking the pieces that were knocked down and builds their own structure and own frame, their own way of living, is the strongest thing possible. Everyone's like, what if he relapses? What if he goes back? No one who went there is ever going back. If they're out, they're out. They're not going back. It's not like you might slide back in. Do everything you can possibly do to stay away from that. And it's genuine. People eventually will see it's not a show anymore. This is genuine. And my parents, they're incredible. They're my biggest supporters, honestly. Like everyone, like literally the biggest supporters of it. Also, they love
That's
it.
incredible.
Yeah,
That's really incredible.
Yeah.
YY, I think we're gonna end it here. That was just the most incredible story. Thank you so much for sharing it with me.
Thank
for
you so
sharing it
much,
with
Oscar.
like all the listeners as well. Like, it was really, really incredible to have you on here. And
Thank you.
hopefully,
I'm
like,
sorry at the time.
no, it's not like people are gonna love it. The more that's once people are like in it, there's no one's gonna want to stop. It's just the most incredible story, and like it has such an incredible ending, and like I'm sure everyone's gonna wish you much Haslopha.
Amen.
But yeah,
Thank
there's
you.
not Hashem, it should all go well.
Amen. Thank you so much, Afi. I really is an honor to be here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming on. Yeah, I'm just
Of
going to do
course.
a little thank you to everyone. I appreciate you all listening, and yeah, we're going to end it here. Thank you.